Hi, are you an author struggling with how to market your books, advertising, selling, all of that? Maybe you have one book, maybe you have two books, maybe you have three, but are you struggling to figure out how you can do that and do it affordably? Because, let's face it, how many of us starting out as new authors really truly have a marketing budget that we can spend, $1,000 on an ad? Probably not that many of us. And if you're like me, you probably don't want to go into debt to make that happen, right? Well, I've got 3 marketing tips for you that you can use that are affordable, free, completely free. They take a little bit of time maybe, but they're completely free. And I know they work because I've been testing it for a little while now. Now, before I tell you what they are, let me tell you a little bit about me. My name's Corey D. Miller, and before I started writing professionally, I owned and operated the Tea Trove, and I still do. I've been doing that for over 12 years, and I started the business from the ground up. I started it in an area where people weren't that familiar with specialty loose tea, and they weren't familiar at all with someone who was a custom blender. My tagline for the Tea Trove is, where any blend is possible. So a customer knows they can come to me, give me ideas about what they might want their blend to be, and I can create it for them. And I love doing that. I've been doing it for a long time. So long, in fact, that I offer more than 100 custom tea blends. And now that's in addition to all the other tea that I carry. But over 100 custom tea blends that you could get from my company, the Tea Trove. But I didn't do it overnight. It took time. It took a lot of time to build up that amount of product. And that's what's going to happen for you to really utilize these tips that I want to share with you as an author. But I learned them from being an entrepreneur in the tea business. The first tip that I can offer you is you need to let people know who you are. I learned early on in my tea business that people wanted to know who they were buying their tea from. They didn't want to just know about the tea. They wanted to know, who's Corey? They wanted to know, how did I get into blending? Why did I get into blending? Why a tea business? I had training and development in my background. I'd been doing that for 10 years, and then all of a sudden I switched and went into an industry that I knew nothing about, but just happened to like tea. People wanted to know that story. And so people want to know your story as an author. They want to know things like, why did you become an author? What made you decide to write? Why do you write about the things that you do write about? Where do you get your ideas? We all get that question, right? Where do you get your ideas? Usually not a problem for most of us, I think. But people, bottom line, want to get to know you because they want to buy from people that they know and that they trust. Think about how you buy things. When you want to order pizza, who do you order pizza from? Who are you faithful to? And why are you faithful to them? I can tell you right now that there's a place in Lincoln, Nebraska that I absolutely love. I've been going there for years. Haven't been there in a while because I don't live in Lincoln. But it's a pizza place called Yaya's. And I started going there in college when it opened up. And I love Yaya's pizza. Anytime I'm in Lincoln and I know I'm going to be there during like lunch or whatever, and I'm going to go to Yaya's. I love Yaya's. There you have it. There's the advertising for Yaya's. Just go to Yaya's. If you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, go to Yaya's. I love their pizza. So why do I love their pizza? I just do. It tastes great. I love the atmosphere. It's really laid back. They have all these different beers on tap, and I don't even drink beer, and I'm impressed with that. They have great wines too. But it's the pizza. I'm addicted to the pizza. So think about why you buy things. That's the same reason other people buy things. It's the same reason why they want to buy from you and buy your books, because they're getting to know you, and they like you, and they trust you, and they want to support you. That's why people buy from you. So that's the number one tip. Let people get to know you. So how do you do that? You blog, and you blog regularly. What do you blog about? Things in your book. I tend to blog about things like the pizza joints that my character likes to go to or that I like to go to. Or I'll blog about beers because she likes beer. All those things that are in your story, you can turn into a blog post. All the research that you've done can become a blog post. I write about the 7 deadly sins. And so I did a whole series of writing blog posts about 7 deadly sins. So these are things you can blog about. You could do a podcast. You could do YouTube videos. You could do a blab chat. There's all kinds of ways that you can let people get to know you. You can do it through Facebook, any social media. But the point is, you have to let people get to know you a little bit. So that's the number one tip. Let them get to know you. Let them trust you. That's why they will start to buy from you. The number 2 tip is that you need to write more books. If you only have one book, think about that. Your book is on Amazon, let's say, and Amazon is a giant search engine. That's what it is. And so how are people going to find your one book among millions of books? Odds are not in your favor. So you increase those odds by providing more product. The more product you have out there, the more discoverability you have. So you do need to write more books. Spend less time worrying about marketing and advertising the one book you have, and spend a lot more time working on the other books. Now, some people can write really, really fast and get lots of books out, and they're great, and some people can't. You have to figure out what works for you. My production schedule is pretty tight and pretty intense. So for me, I'll be writing a book for Nano, 2016 coming up, or 2015 rather, coming up. I'll be working on North Downing. It's the second book in my series. Hush comes out November 1st. Well, it'll get released April 4th. About 3 months later, the third book comes out on your 6th. 3 months later, off the X. So in 2016, I'm looking at least 3 novels, and in the middle of that, I'll be writing a series of short stories to continue the Deadly Sins short stories that I already started to do. Again, this is all about discoverability. People need to know that I exist, and they won't know if it's only one book. That's just not going to happen. And I speak from experience on this one, trust me. I had one book that I wrote in 2011, and it was nonfiction actually, so that made it even more challenging. It's nonfiction, and it was a book of essays, and it didn't move. It just didn't move. Wouldn't have mattered what I had done. It's not going to move. It finally started to move a little bit more when I started to write the fiction books, and people saw the name tied to both. I didn't use a pen name, so it was still Corey Miller or Corey D. Miller that they were looking for, that they would find. And I also happened to do a podcast called Back Porch Writer. So there's lots of things that I've done in the meantime to make discoverability easier. But one of the main things I did was I produced more content, whether that was the podcast, YouTube, writing blogs, writing more books. I was producing more quality content. So I'm telling you, focus on your writing. Do more books so that you can be discoverable or more discoverable. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, email lists are not the easiest thing to build. And I know because I was really late to the game doing this. They're not easy to build when you're trying to do it behind the 8 ball, so to speak. But you have to do it. And it's a great thing to do because this is a group of people who are genuinely interested in hearing about you and your writing and your books and all that. And they don't necessarily just do it because they want stuff for free. They're interested in you. And so you need to make those emails a little bit more personalized. Is it possible with a list of, several thousand? Yeah, maybe it's a little more challenging to do it that way. But let's face it, you and we're not there. So we don't have a list of 1,000 people at this point. So we can actually really build a foundation with the people that we have by making our emails more personalized. I interviewed an author a week ago, actually, who he has an email list of about 600 people. And I asked him, wow, do you use a service, like Aweber? Do you use a service like MailChimp or MailPoet or anything? And he said, no. He sends a personal email to all 600 people on his list, and he does it quarterly because that's what's manageable for him. He does it quarterly. And he also only does it when he feels like he has something genuine to share with that group of people so that he's not wasting their time. So you've got the people on one side of the fence who are saying you have to stay in constant contact with these people, and then people like this person I had on the show who's saying, no, I know my group of people here, they don't want that. They want me to just communicate when there's stuff to communicate. So you kind of have to find that balance. But the only way you can find it is if you start the email list and you start the communicating with your list to figure out what they do want. And you do that by making it personalized from the very beginning. So those are some things to keep in mind. These are the 3 marketing tips that I have for you that I know work, that I'm using, and that I've also used in my other business. These are the things that work. They take a little time, but they work. And you don't have to spend any money to do them. So go out and start letting people know who you are. Do a little bit more blogging. Connect with readers and other authors and things like that. And then write your next book and keep writing. Don't stop doing that. And of course, start building your email list and make those personalized emails. That's it. That's pretty much all you need to do, and that'll last for a while. So good luck. I'd love to hear about what you're doing, and if you implement these 3 tips that I gave you, I'd love to hear from you to find out how you think they're working. Now remember, with any marketing plan, you need to do it for a little while. Don't do it for a month and think, oh, that didn't work. Yeah, that is ineffective. Don't do that. You need to implement the marketing plan and stick with it for a little while. And what do I mean by a little while? Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. Analyze it in between, see how things are going. But do not implement something for a week to 4 weeks and think, oh, it's rubbish. You're not giving it enough time. So you have to give marketing time. That's the way marketing really does work. It does take time to take hold. Think about how many times someone advertises to you and markets to you to get the message to you to buy their product. We're not any different as authors. We have to do the same sort of process and be patient with that process. So good luck, give it a try, and subscribe to this channel, and of course put your comments down below. Thanks. See you later.